Hello and welcome to Homeschool MBA, where we talk about different management, business, administration topics. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. So the agenda today is emotional quotient management. Um, we have prepared a one-page slide on some of the key parameters of emotional quotient management and how it prepares you to manage a tough situation and a difficult conversation. Hello, Professor. How are you doing? Let's talk about this subject.
I'm fine. It's a very important topic that you have picked up, emotional intelligence. Now, it is part of personality of individuals. There are, different ways to test or examine the faculties of human personality. And these are, in psychological terms, known as, IQ, that is intelligence quotient, EQ, that is emotional quotient, and SQ, that is social quotient. So IQ, EQ, and SQ, they actually describe the level of these skills that a person has, and those skills are required for managing not only the personal behavior, but also the behavior of the people working around him or working, his bosses or his juniors or his clients, things like that. So you have very nicely put it together and picked up three very important factors in it. Optimism. Now, EQ, that is emotional quotient, optimizes the level of optimism. It is said that this world belongs to optimists, rest are spectators. So, optimization of your personality means creating positivity in your personality and looking positively towards the future or towards the outcome. And then we also say that EQ leads to being proactive to forecast consequences and creates positivity in human behavior, which is referred as optimism. So you nicely put it. Optimism leads to good planning, execution, and strategies. Optimists learn from others' mistakes and are always prepared to face the situation successfully. Now, there are two, ways to look at the situation: being proactive and reactive. Normally, proactive people, as you have very nicely described, that they are futuristic and they can forecast the events and they can forecast various situations and they are prepared for it. And they make sure that if that situation happens, they have different options to deal with it. So, but the key word for them is that they are positive minded and they always look towards they always say half glass full, not half glass empty. Then, opposite to optimism is pessimism. Pessimism leads to negativity, and negativity kills because it puts you in a negative vicious circle that if such and such thing happens, then that will not happen, and if that will not happen, then this will not happen, and you get into that vicious circle, and which leads you to stress, sleeplessness, and even nightmares, and you become very timid and very coward about the future. And you put it here very nicely that opposite of optimism, those who have this trait, they always look towards negative side of situation. They are reactive and not prepared for the situation until they are put into it. They learn from their own mistakes. They are weak planners and are always afraid of failure due to various negative circles they get into. They are not willing to accept the responsibility of failure which they attribute to others or to situations and resources, etc. That's a very nicely put together. You see, these pessimistic people, they can neither enjoy their victories nor can they honorably take their defeats. So everybody, let's say in other words, can enjoy victory, but accept these pessimist people because they always look towards the, failures more. They look for sadness out of happiness, and they always call it half glass empty. So pessimism in at workplace can create very serious situations, and it can kind of affect your relationship with your bosses and with your subordinates, excuse me. Then the third factor that you have said, how to manage situation or difficult conversation. No, this is kind of, outcome of that difficult conversation is always about resolving certain problem or resolving certain conflict or resolving certain dispute. So the, in our previous lectures, we had discussed that how to deal with the, conflict management. So here again the same principles apply. Do your homework, that what is the cause of that difficult conversation or that problem that you are facing, not the symptoms. So go for the causes and see that if you can remove those causes and you can create a friendly situation. How can you do that? Listen to feedback and make sense out of everything. Understand point of view of others, and then agree to disagree. Formalization of discussion, contracts, agreements, verbal or written, and then excavating approval from bosses. So, what it means is that first of all, you must understand the situation, that what, when, where, and how, why, and then look for the causes. What are those causes which are responsible for this situation, which is becoming difficult for you? And then listen to the other party very carefully. What is their point of view? What do they want to say? And what they want to get out of you? And then, if you can agree with them, good enough. But if you cannot agree with them, then you have used a very good term, agree to disagree. So, which means that keep the doors open, that, okay, let's see more, let us see that, if we can continue with this difference between us, but let the work not be suffered. And then once you have gone through this process of difficult situation or difficult conversation, then record it down, what we call minutes. So make minutes of that meeting or discussion or gist of that discussion, and let both parties sign it and keep the copy with each other so that they know what they have agreed upon and what they have disagreed upon. So this is basically social quotient, that how you look at the behavior of other party, and you want to maintain that relationship because the other party may be from different social background or from different academic background, or for that matter different part of the world, are speaking different language. So understanding this whole scenario is basically social quotient, because let's say even if we look at the body language in different countries and different cultures mean differently. So you have to understand that with their body language and gestures and things like that, that what is on their mind. So that is what we call social quotient. And these you have very nicely put up here. Social quotient, it is ability to understand the human behavior, social relationships, and situations consequent upon social behavior of people. Very well said, and nothing more can be said about it. It's self-contained. And then you said about EQ, that is emotional quotient. It deals with the application of free will to manage emotional state of mind created by various situations. EQ ability can be tested through psychological tests which reveal human behavior in various situations. Now, what it means is that when we say that it deals with the application of free will to manage emotional state of mind, that means that you see that every human looks at the same situation with different angle, with different point of view. So because that is his level of EQ. You might be looking at marketing angle, and the other party might be looking at sales, and yet another party may be looking at profit. And I mean, on the same situation, you are looking from different points of view. So the EQ will tell you how to deal with that. Then you say that EQ ability can be tested through, yes, of course, there are psychological tests that you are put to while, let us say, you are being interviewed, or you are being tested for recruitment in various companies. So such psychological tests are put, and difficult situations are created for you to answer to. And some situations, as I said, that socially in certain countries they are not welcome, so they would like to see that which culture do you belong to, and how do you deal with such situations, and your response to that situation would expose your EQ level. So you have to be very, very careful when you are, being appearing for emotional quotient tests. So you have to keep in mind the global culture, the global level, not the national or international level. So if you are thinking globally, then, as it is said, act locally, think globally. So that would be a phrase over here, which would be very true. Then IQ is very commonly known as intelligence quotient. It is the ability level of intelligence and skills to comprehend situations. So generally speaking, the emotional quotient management is more important than any other management techniques in cultural in corporate culture. I think that's enough for this. If you have any questions about it.
All right. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to all our social media.